غرباء 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 غرباء.
In your impurity, and he has come to know what are the conditions of salah, and he's going to head to the masjid. So what are the adab, what are the etiquettes of coming to the masjid? We come into the masjid knowing the fact that this is a house of Allah Azza wa Jal, and this is a house in which we perform our ibadah, our worship to Allah. So it's a sanctuary, it's a place of worship, it's a sacred place. But we know the fact that when he comes to the masjid, it is preferred for a person to join the congregation by walking to the masjid. And when he does come to the masjid walking or in his car, then it's two attributes that the person must have with him, and that's the attribute of as-sakina and al-waqar. As-sakina means a person is tranquil, meaning when he's walking, in his movement, in his behavior, the fact that the person comes to the masjid taking his time, making sure the fact that he's content and he's tranquil. Rather not the fact that he be in a rush and he be in a huff and a puff and he's running around and his mind's everywhere. Rather, when he comes to the house of Allah, he's come for a purpose. And to fulfill that purpose, one needs to make sure that his mind is calm, his body is calm, he is tranquil, he's thinking right, and he comes into the house of Allah. So as-sakina is one of the things that the person should try to work towards, making sure that he is in a position of contentment when coming to the masjid. The second thing is al-waqar. Al-waqar is more got to do with one's attitude and his behavior, and also within his akhlaq. So as-sakina is something more mental as well as physical, and something that which is got to do with the heart. Al-waqar is more like a person is to humble his character, meaning to lower your voice, not to be looking around, to be in a daze. Rather, al-waqar, from that the person lowers his gaze when walking, the fact that the person lowers his voice when he's talking to others. So having these sifat, having these attributes within him. The second thing with regards to this that the author mentioned is the fact that the person should try to come to the masjid early. And one of the reasons for that is that so the person can achieve the takbiratul ihram, meaning he could achieve to come to the masjid and make it into before the Imam says Allahu Akbar, that he's within inside the masjid or within the boundaries of the masjid to be ready to pray. And he joins in with the salawat, and he's within inside the first saf. So he tries to come early, making sure the fact that I could catch the first saf, I could catch the first row, for there is much more in reward. And also a person, when he tries to walk to the masjid and he tries to come early, and whilst he's walking he should try to take small steps. And the reason for small steps is that he could take more steps coming to the masjid so that he could achieve more rewards from Allah. So this is from the adab before coming to the masjid, and also prior to coming to the masjid, that the person should make wudu. So he makes wudu, فَأَحْسَنَ الْوُضُوء ثُمَّ خَرَجَ إِلَى الْمَسْجِدِ, that he perfects his wudu and he takes his time, and then he comes to the masjid taking small steps. And when he does come, upon him there is sakina, tranquility, and there is also waqar within his attitude, meaning he's lowered his voice, he's lowering his gaze, and he's walking humbly to coming to the masjid. When the person reaches the doors of the masjid, know the fact that he should enter into the masjid with his right foot. So when he enters into his right foot, with his right foot, then he mentions this dua: Bismillah, a'udhu billahi al-azim, wa biwajhihi al-kareem, wa sultanihi al-qadeem, min ash-shaytan al-rajim, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad, Allahumma aghfir li dhunubi, waftah li abwaba rahmatik. And again, all of these ad'iyah have been placed into the one sentence. وإلا they are separate ad'iyah, they are separate du'as. The likes of Allahumma aftah li abwaba rahmatik, and a'udhu billahi al-azim wa biwajhihi al-kareem wa sultanihi al-qadeem min ash-shaytan al-rajim. So these are separate ad'iyah. So if a person joins between them, there's no problem in that, or if a person recites one of them, and there's no haraj in that. So when a person leaves the masjid again, then he leaves with his left foot first. So when he enters with his right foot, and he leaves with his left foot first, and then his right foot. And then he makes a dua: Allahumma inni as'aluka min fadlik, or waftah li abwaba fadlik. So these are the du'as, asking Allah Azza wa Jal for His grace and for His pleasement upon leaving the masjid. When a person does enter into the masjid, and again we've come into the sanctuary, we're going to worship Allah Azza wa Jal. It's a sacred place. So when he does come into the masjid, then a person must make sure that before he sits down, he prays 2 rak'ahs. He prays 2 units of prayer. And this is called Tahiyyatul Masjid. And this is for the masjid, in respect of the house of Allah, that when you enter into the house of Allah, then you pay its respects by praying 2 rak'ah. And this is in accordance to the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam: إِذَا دَخَلَ الْمَسْجِدِ فَلَا يَجْلِسْ حَتَّى يُصَلِّيَ رَكَعَتَيْنِ. That if he enters into the masjid, then let him not sit down until he prays 2 rak'ahs, 2 units of prayer when coming into the masjid. Inshallah, we'll leave it to that, and we'll continue with the bab prior to Salatul Maghrib. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين.